27, report over Riverside, Fort Victor.
Riverside Tower, Skycatcher 70241 and 27, south departure.
Skycatcher 70241, Riverside Tower, south departure, food, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Clear to go on 27241.
Alright.
Okay, so you want to have have your left hand on the stick there, and then have your right hand here on the throttle.
Okay.
And then your feet are controlling the direction of where we're going here.
Right.
So we line ourselves up, and once we're comfortable with where we're heading, then we go ahead and add the power in all the way, nice and like in one motion, just bring it all the way forward.
Alright, just don't let me die.
Oh, no.
Okay. Are we in the right direction here?
Yeah, we're good. So just advance the throttle all the way forward.
Skycatcher 241, are you boarding takeoff?
No, we're good. Okay, so we're building up airspeed here. Get that in all the way. Push it all the way in. There you go. And now you can go ahead and pull back on the control stick just a little bit. Just about like there. Now keep in mind we slide left and right here for aileron control.
Right.
We're going to continue straight ahead here for a little bit, gain some altitude. And just make small corrections to keep the wings level as necessary.
Right. That is a lot more sensitive than the...
We might get a little bump here and there because close to the ground the air kind of gets caught in the terrain and buildings and all that, so.
Right.
Alrighty. Now we can go ahead and make a turn out to the left, so just slide the controls to your left a little bit. Little left rudder.
Riverside Tower, Bonanza 9, Fort Victor, reporting
Like about there is good, so now just neutralize the stick. We'll stay here in the turn for a little bit.
27, clear line, Fort Victor.
Oh, man. That is crazy.
And we're going to fly out straight out this way, so you can go ahead and neutralize the controls, or rather bring the wings level first, and then...
How's that?
Perfect.
It's weird to not have anything to do with my right hand. I just don't know where to put it.
You can rest it on the throttle for lack of better things to do. Eventually you will adjust the power, so most of the time that's kind of what we do. We also use it to eat our PBJ and have our drink, and
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Well, if things get out of control, I need you to grab these controls.
See that lake out there to the right?
No. Oh, yeah.
Okay, you want to head out towards that, so.
It is pretty cool up here.
Not too bad, huh?
Yeah, it's a view not many people get to see.
Yep.
How about that, huh? You said the lake? Going right at the lake?
Exactly.
That was pretty goddamn good.
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, we're going to overfly the lake, kind of sort of on the left side a little bit, so...
Just stay kind of where we're going here?
Yeah, correct to the right just a little bit. You can go ahead and lower the nose just a slight bit. About like there is good. And then just kind of fly up over the left side of the lake. That'll be perfect. So we're crossing over the 91 freeway below us here. That's probably how you got here.
I guess, yeah. Took the 60.
Oh, you came on the 60?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you would actually from the 90, from Santa Monica.
Yeah, from Santa Monica. Now, do you live around here?
I live in Temecula, about an hour south of here.
Okay. There's a great golf course around here called Oak Quarry.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, there's quite a few of them out here in the Inland Empire, but yeah, I haven't played too many of the ones up here, and we have about 5, 6 good courses in the Temecula Murrieta area that I usually play.
Oh, you play?
I have been for quite some years.
Yeah, me too. Oh, here we go. Okay. Forgetting to look at some of these things.
Yeah, don't worry about this stuff. Just kind of use the outside world as a reference. That'll be much easier to tell what what the airplane is doing.
Well, at the dashboard, it's hard for me to see what's directly in front of me. There's a picture of it here, that helps.
For northeast departure.
Here, 1 Riverside Tower, northeast departure approved from the police fence.
Well, we're just about where we want to be altitude-wise, so we're going to level off in a little bit, and that will improve our forward visibility. During the climb like this, we only kind of see on the sides of the nose, because obviously the nose is up, so it's hard to see right in front of us.
Yeah.
Try to correct to the right a little more. See that little notch in the hills up there?
Yeah.
Kind of head towards that.
Oh yeah, that was a good turn, huh? I like positive reinforcement.
Yes, you're doing good.
I'm at the notch, or do you want me to still turn a little bit?
Alright, we can go ahead and level off here, so just lower the nose a little bit like that. Perfect. And then once the airspeed picks up a little bit, we're going to, first of all, trim forward.
Matthew traffic, Cessna 3 Bravo Alpha is approaching the south end of the lake.
Trim forward a little bit by pushing that button forward, and you'll feel how some of that pressure will drop off.
You tell me when you want me to do that.
Well, you can go ahead and do that now. Notice how when you let go, it kind of still comes up, so if you push forward on that a little bit, you'll feel the pressure of the stick disappear so that you can level it.
Yeah.
And then also we want to pull the power back to about 2400 RPM.
Okay.
And a little hazy, but there is another lake straight out in front of us, and we're going to fly down over it.
Okay.
So just stay to the left of the greenhouses you see coming up here. Stay to the right of the greenhouses.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, why am I steering with only my left hand, not my right?
Well, you could use your right hand too if you'd like.
The right, I'm much more
Typically when we sit on that side, we fly with our left, so we have our right free for the radios and the throttle controls and all that. Whereas when you're on this side, it's opposite, so you fly with the right and have your left available for whatever else you need to work on. Bump this back up just a little bit. All right. So that lake in the distance before the mountains you see out there is called Lake Elsinore. We're going to fly down towards it, so just kind of stay on this track for now. We have some airspace that belongs to March Air Force Base off our left that we need to clear out of.
What is this little green dot here?
That is kind of an aim, like depending on where you're going, it doesn't do much now, but if you have a flight plan programmed into the GPS, it helps to kind of show where you should be in order to end up at the destination.
Cool. And this here is our ground speed, so right now we're going at 92?
And that's actually our air speed, so that's the speed at which we're flying through the air.
Okay.
The ground speed is dependent on whatever the winds are doing, so if we have a calm day, then this will equal basically the ground speed. If we have a wind from, whatever direction, we might have a headwind, which means we would cover ground slower. If we have a tailwind, we'll be moving faster over the ground, so.
It's a pretty calm day though, so would you say that we're going 93?
Yeah, we're showing about 9 knots off to the right coming at us a little bit, so we have just a little bit of a headwind component.
Okay.
Like Matthew,
Go ahead and steer out just a smidge to the right.
35 Charlie Yankee Blue and White Skyline. 1 mile south of the dam, we'll be maneuvering 5,500. I think Matthew traffic
this little
Bravo Alpha is
part of the magenta color.
Oh, that's their air zone.
Yeah, so we just want to kind of make sure we don't venture into that, because it's controlled airspace starting at 3,900, so we're just where we would need to talk to them if we're going to get into it.
So right now we're gonna clear that though, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're on fine to...
Yeah, and it's no big deal. It's just that they want us to talk to them if we're going to be in their airspace, so. That's what it sounds like if two people are transmitting at the same time.
Okay.
It kind of just blocks the frequency from...
This is absolutely gorgeous.
Side of the lake, staying on the south end of the lake.
And what altitude are you using?
So do you ever jump out of these guys?
I try not to.
Have you?
No.
I don't want to do that.
I've never had the urge to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
East corner, 4,500.
There are a lot of people that enjoy that, and I'm sure it's a thrill, but
Yeah, I can't. This is absolutely as close as I'm going to get to it.
I don't care for heights much, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
neither do I.
which sounds weird. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm perfectly comfortable flying an airplane, but like standing on a tall building looking down at the ground below me, especially if you're out of a rickety rail or something,
Yeah.
that just doesn't like really make my day. So, and I'm sure parachuting is a really thrilling experience, but as of yet anyway, so I've had no desire to try that.
Yeah. So that was like a drop in air pressure there because we're going over the mountains?
Well, more likely what it is, as we said, air is moving all the time, so air is being kind of pushed up over the hills, and what you're feeling is just basically what you would feel if you're on a boat on a lake. You're kind of riding up and down the swells a little bit, so it's perfectly normal, even though it feels a little odd at first when you're kind of being tossed about a little bit.
So should I be trying to fight it, or?
Not really.
Okay.
You just kind of keep the wings level and the nose straight, and the little changes in altitude or airspeed that we see are something that we don't really, because if you're going to fight it, then you're constantly doing this.
Right, that's what I was just
It
doing.
actually makes it almost worse.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so there's that second lake.
Yep, and we'll fly down over it, and then we're going to turn back up towards the north, so we'll just continue here until we kind of get over the north shore of the lake here. Then we'll turn around. So do you have any interest in learning to fly at all, or is this just kind of a
This is kind of
one-time thing just for the experience?
well, I'm being mic'd up, and my mom will eventually listen to this, so I have to say this is a one-time thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I told you I have a neighbor who has done this, and I told him, you know, I got this online, it was only, however much it was, it's $65. I said, why would it be so inexpensive? He said, once you get up there, you'll realize this is not the only time you're going to do it.
Right, and it's kind of our way of, you know, allowing people to experience what flying is about. We usually see 1 out of 10 or so that, you know, decide they want to come in and learn to fly, or at least take some lessons to kind of see if they really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And
I think it's too much pressure, man.
too much pressure on
Too
what?
much pressure.
Oh.
Like, driving is easy. I'm sure, I mean...
Like Matthew says, 94 Mike is 2 miles south of the lake over
Not exactly like driving.
3,500.
Well, that's what makes it kind of unique, though. I mean, it's something that not only is rewarding and fun, but, you know, unique in the sense that only few people, 0.002% of the population knows how to fly an airplane, so you're kind of, you know, you're joining a select group of individuals that have a passion about flying. Alright, let's go ahead and make a nice shallow right turn here back towards the north. Now, being that we're not turning really steep, you don't need a lot of back pressure in the turn, so... But do continue the... keep going to the right. Yeah, we want to turn back up towards the north, so... But I noticed you were pulling back a little bit, which is not necessary unless you're turning at a steeper angle of bay.
Along the western shore of the lake, 5,500.
Normally we'd see the ocean here, but it's a little foggy out there, so... Because that would be the Pacific right there. You can just see a little bit of Catalina peeking through the fog out there.
From my west of the lake at 3,000.
And just continue this turn here until we see the lake up here again.
94 Mike, southwest corner of the lake,
Head back up towards the lake. Oop. Oh. So right about there is good.
That was terrifying.
So the little bit of movement that we feel, like kind of like rolling
Yeah.
Motion is not quite what we would consider turbulence because it's not drastic changes in altitude or airspeed enough.
Right.
So it's more like maybe we could refer to as chop.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like somebody's holding the back of the plane and doing this a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the best way to kind of make sense of it is, like I said, it's kind of like being in the boat in the lake. You kind of
traffic 7
riding up and down the swells of the lake.
3,500 slow flight.
And on our way back here, if you just kind of take aim for that right side of the lake, and we'll fly back kind of on the same path there. That'll be good between the lake and the greenhouses out there to the right.
We got the
We can go ahead and lower the nose just a little bit so we stop climbing.
the middle of the lake on the traffic above us, and we'll be doing turns.
This is too cool, man. So how often do you fly? Every day?
Yeah, usually it's a couple of times every day, depending on the day. Sometimes it's more.
Does it kind of suck that you have to drive to work knowing that you could just fly?
Well, it'd be nicer to fly to work, of course, but we do that sometimes actually because we fly the plane down to French Valley.
Yeah.
Which is in Temecula, so on occasion it does happen.
So what was it like when the first time you flew by yourself? Terrified?
No, it was actually, I'd say it was kind of a combination of sheer excitement as well as a sense of accomplishment. I mean, it was, you know, the first time you get up there by yourself, you're obviously well prepared. Your instructor is not going to let you go until you're ready.
Right.
But the first time you take off and you lift up into the sky on your own, you kind of, it kind of gets to you and you go, wow, I'm actually doing this. So it's a pretty cool experience. I mean, it's, I don't know that there's anything else that you can kind of compare to it, but it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
And white blue skyline over the top.
Now what's the biggest thing you've flown?
Biggest I've flown is about 10 passenger twin engine aircraft.
What was that, like, just personal use, or?
No, I worked for a company flying cargo and passengers.
What's the furthest you've flown?
Well, I've flown from here all the way to Buffalo, New York.
I went to school at Syracuse, so.
And from here up to Seattle. When I worked in Texas, we flew all over the southeast, Mississippi and Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. I pretty much sat foot in most of the states of this country.
That's awesome. I just recently drove across the states.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of pretty countryside and a lot of fun places to see, so.
What is your favorite, is there like a favorite flight plan if you're just going out to have a blast?
I don't know, not really. I mean, every flight is unique. Every time you go somewhere, even if it's along the same course, it'll be different just because the weather is perhaps different and the people you talk to is different, the things that happen on the flight is different, so.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what you do, flying can sometimes be a little, you know, monotone in the sense that you're doing the same thing every time in the same area, but even with that, every flight is different, so it's still different every time, I think.
How different is it to fly at night?
The flying part isn't so different, but obviously being that it's dark, we have, you know, different considerations because you can't readily see things. Like here, right now, we can see open fields and dirt roads, which are good to know where they are if you ever had a problem and needed to land this thing on something other than an airport. That is a little more challenging at night because you wouldn't necessarily see them.
Right. Should I be trying to line up with this green thing?
Nah.
Okay.
Just kind of track this little dirt road that we have off to the right here.
Yeah.
And lower the nose a little bit and we'll start a shallow descent here. Airport is pretty much right on the nose, that open area up there with the buildings around it.
Okay. That is pretty cool, man. high are we? 3,300 feet?
We're at 4,040 right now, descending. And that is height above sea level, so we would have to subtract elevation, which is about 1,000 to 1,200 feet here below us, so we're only about 3,000 feet off the ground, a little less.
Riverside Towers, can I catch you 70241 east side of the lake with Foxtrot?
Catcher 70241 Riverside Tower, left base runway 27, report over the auto center. Stay altitude.
Leaving 3,600.
I don't even see the airport.
It's pretty much straight on the nose, just a little left of the nose. If you look straight ahead along the surface here, you'll see an area that's kind of open a little more.
Oh yeah, right there.
A lighter colored area.
Yeah, that's it?
That's the airport. And we're going to fly kind of straight up here. There's kind of a grouping of commercial buildings right on the nose here. We're going to fly up over that.
Intercept the...
And then
make a left
and line up on the runway.
You're landing.
I will help you out with that.
Okay. I remember when I got my driver's license, I thought the guy sitting next to me has the scariest job there is.
Oh, the guy that's riding with you for
the
the
teacher.
test itself.
But no, you've got the scarier job.
Well, typically at that point, I mean, somebody that's coming for the test, they should have...
No, I'm talking about the guy who teaches, like the first guy you're in the thing with.
Oh, the first, like for the lessons and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would admit that's,
at
least from a flight instructor's perspective, I mean, we have dual controls and
yeah,
there isn't anything that you can really screw up bad enough to where I can't fix it, so...
Takes a lot more pressure to push forward than it is to pull back.
Yeah, we have a little up trim, that's why. If you let go of the stick for a second, we'll trim it down a little bit like this. That way you don't have to sit and fight it.
Oh yeah, that's much easier.
A lot of times when you first start out, we tend to have a little too much of a little clenched grip on the stick.
Oh yeah, I'm squeezing as hard as I can here.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. Just want to relax and have a nice light grip on the controls, and that way you feel more nuances of what the plane is doing.
Yeah. So do you name your planes? So does this thing have a name to it?
No, not really. We have a call sign based on the registration.
Oh, right.
If we worked for a company that had a flight number, then you usually use the company name and the flight number when you communicate.
So it's not like a ship?
No, usually not. I mean, some people might, but...
241, so with the auto center.
Second 241, runway 27, clear to land.
Clear line 27,
Alright, so we're going to cut back power a little more here, continue our descent. We're also going to put down what we call flaps, which is kind of a trailing edge of the wing there, so you'll see that come down as I pull on this.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
That just helps to kind of keep the speed down as we're descending.
It's a lot smoother now, too.
So as we come in on the landing here, we'll use our feet more, just like you did in the simulator, to control directional control, and then...
You tell me when to start.
We'll wait just a second here, and then we'll... About here is good, so start to left roll here to line up. So, during the landing, I'll, of course, be helping you out, so just have kind of a nice light touch on the controls so we don't fight each other, so to speak. Okay, so we're lined up on what we refer to as final, meaning basically lined up on the runway.
Right.
So as we come down, we have the nose below the numbers of the runway threshold here, a little bit like that.
Okay.
And we're just making small corrections to keep ourselves aligned with the runway and keeping the wings level.
Right.
As we get a little wind gust or whatnot, we just make small corrections to keep it where we want it.
You got to convince yourself to make small corrections.
Yeah, it's easy to start over controlling, so. Alright, so here we start looking at the end of the runway, and that way we'll see the runway kind of rising up towards us as we come down. And as we see the runway kind of rising up, we start to level the plane over the runway a little bit, and then as the plane settles, we just continue to little by little pull back until we touch down.
That's awesome. Oh man, you can't spend a better $65.
No, that's probably true.
Circuit 241, taxi LSAV, Echo, just monitor path.
241, thank you.
How many of these do you do in a day?
It depends. I mean, on a Saturday it can be 5 or so. Weekdays, I had 2 regular students earlier before you came in that...
Your last one?
I think so for today, yeah. Again, it varies from day to day. Sometimes, we'll do 3 or 4. Sometimes it's just 1 or 2, so.
Yeah.
Every day pretty much is different.